Good.
That's better. Now, my name is JoJo.
And I'm Kelsey.
And we work for a company called Conservation Ambassadors. And we're actually out of California. And what it is we do at our center is we give a home to rescued wildlife. Animals that have been injured somehow and can't be sent back out into the wild, those animals are sent to us at our center. Or other times we have a big problem here in the United States. We have a problem with people trying to make pets out of wild animals. That never ever works. It's also against the law, and those animals are taken away and sent to our center as well. Now what we do is give these animals lots of love, lots of attention, and lots of food. And the animals that we can, we train them to travel, going mostly to school groups, giving us a chance to share some amazing wild animals up close and personal. Now, we've been working very closely with SeaWorld over the last 25 years, and we've gotten to witness some of the amazing rescue work that SeaWorld's done. And since they've opened their gates, they've rescued and released over 38,000 animals, and this year alone, since January, SeaWorld Orlando has rescued and released 27 dolphins, 49 manatee, and 78 sea turtles. That deserves a round of applause, yeah. That's incredible. They are some of the best at what they do, so when they came and asked us to share some of our wildlife with you, we were super excited to do so, and we brought some awesome animals for you guys to meet. And we're going to start with a guest who came to our center in kind of an unusual way.
That's what everybody says when they see me. This is Boo, and she's a young red kangaroo. And JoJo's right, we did get her in kind of a weird way. See, Boo's mom came to us as part of an illegal pet confiscation, and what we didn't know was that she was pregnant. Now, when Boo poked her head out of the pouch for the first time, her mom decided she didn't want to raise her, and she kicked her out of the pouch. So she's been raised by us ever since. When kangaroo are first born, they don't look like this. They're only 2.5 centimeters in length, and they only have a sense of smell. So mom licks a trail of saliva from her pouch down her belly, and baby uses that nose to climb inside. Once inside, they start to nurse, and something weird happens. Their jaws lock shut for 3 months, which may sound uncomfortable to some, but that's really important because mom is hopping through the grasslands of Australia and baby's bouncing along for the ride. Now when they start to look a little more like Boo here, they start leaving the pouch to learn where mom is finding food, and they only return to nurse and to find safety. Now kangaroo are an amazing marsupial. They can hop at speeds over 40 miles an hour, leaping 25 feet in a single bound. And Boo here, she's just learning how to do these programs, but we're very excited to share her with audiences in the future. Now our next guest also comes from Australia, and he has a pretty unique voice.
This is Giggles, and he is the laughing kookaburra. Now this little bird here is truly famous for his voice. So they use this bird's call in the background of every single movie that's ever had a jungle scene ever. It doesn't matter if they're showing an African, a South American, or an Asian jungle, they use this little bird's call, even though he's from the exact opposite climate. He's from the grasslands of Australia, but they use his call because it does sound like he comes from the jungle. Do you guys want to hear it? All right, you ready, buddy? Isn't that awesome?
He's laughing.
I love it. Now, this person...
That's a cool one.
You gonna let me talk?
Still laughing.
No, this bird here. He may be famous for that voice, but I think he should be famous for something else. Because he's actually a hunter. He is the largest member of the kingfisher family, which means he likes to hunt mice, lizards, and snakes in the grasslands of Australia. I've even seen videos of these little birds hunting snakes as long as 6 feet. They'll dive down with that specialized bill of theirs, they grab onto the snakes right behind the back of the head, then they'll whip them back and forth until it's like a limp noodle. Then he'll start to swallow. Slowly swallowing and digesting that snake over 3 days while the rest of it's hanging out the corner of his mouth. Sounds weird, works very well for the kookaburra though. Now, somebody here in the US fell in love with these birds and they found a way to purchase one online. They brought it into their home, only this person lived in an apartment complex. And see, kookaburras are also known as the Outback alarm clock because every single morning at the break of dawn, they let out that call, the neighbors were not as big of a fan of it as she was, which is why he sent us at our center. Now, I love this bird a lot, but being woken up by that call every single morning would be enough to have me pull my hair out. Kind of like your next guest here.
This is Whizzer the turkey vulture, and Jojo, I'm quite fond of his hairdo. Now, turkey vultures get up in the morning and the first thing they do is they spread those big wings and they start to sunbathe. Kind of like he's attempting to do on my stage right now. When they're nice and warm, they take flight, and once up in the air, they do these big, lazy-looking circles. But he's not lazy, he's up there doing something very important. He's smelling. He's looking for the grossest, stinkiest, most rotten and disgusting thing that he can find. And when he smells something totally gross, something that's been dead for a while, you know what he says? Lunchtime, and he dives down to make a meal out of it. Vultures eat dead stuff. Now I heard a couple of you go, ooh, but if we're all being honest with ourselves, most of us eat dead stuff. Nobody chases a cow down the road to chew on its leg. The only difference is the stuff he's eating is so bacteria-ridden it would make us sick, which is why he has that bald head, because he's sticking his head inside of rotting meat. He doesn't want to get any of that on his feathers. He cleans his legs off in kind of a gross way. He pees down himself, which is why we named him Whizzer. Now, Whizzer came to us a little over 17 years ago when somebody had the nerve to shoot this big, beautiful bird in his left wing. And birds' bones, they're hollow, they're hard to fix, and they just don't heal quite right, which is what happened to Whizzer here. He can fly a little bit, but not enough to survive on his own out in the wild. That is Whizzer the beautiful turkey vulture.
So we're going to go from beautiful to cute. This is little Maya. She's about a 40-year-old spider monkey. She's been at our center almost 30 years now. And in 1994, we got a call from LA County Sheriff's Office saying we found a monkey in a dumpster. Apparently somebody threw her away. And this kind of thing actually happens a lot. See, people get monkeys, they try and make them into pets, and they quickly learn why that's not such a good idea. See, monkeys are set up by nature to be the farmers of the rainforest. They are set up to eat fruits, they swallow the seeds, they squeeze those seeds out the other end in a nice little pile of fertilizer, and they do this about every 15 minutes. So as they're planting fruit trees and people's couch cushions and around the rest of their house, people get very tired of it. Not to mention the fact that as monkeys get older, they tend to get an attitude, people get bit, they get sent to the hospital, and if that's not enough, they find out that these monkeys can live 40 to 50 years. So they get rid of them in all sorts of ways, whether they get caught by U.S. Fish and Wildlife, or they send them to centers like ours, or other times they just release them into the world, kind of like what happened to Maya here. Now, spider monkeys, they're not set up like other monkey species. She doesn't have an opposable thumb on her hand, she does have one on her foot, but instead, can I see your hand here, girl? Is your hand? Yeah. Instead, she has 4 alien-like fingers that allow her to grab onto the branches, and she can swing through the trees as fast as a horse can run on land. She also has the coolest tail out of all the other monkeys. Her tail is so dexterous that she can pick up something as small as a grain of rice with the tip of her tail, and I see her use it for all sorts of stuff. She hangs by that tail, she carries food around with it, she scratches her head with it, I've caught her picking her nose with it. I mean, it is the most amazing tail I have ever seen. So whenever we get a new monkey into our center, we always try and find other monkeys for them to live with. They're very social animals, they require those social bonds. But because Maya was fed so much of the wrong foods when she was young, she's not nearly as developed as the other spider monkeys. So we had to find her a different companion. And eventually we did. Her name is Hobo. She's 54 years old, the only other monkey at our center that's older than Maya. And together we call them the Golden Girls.
This is Hobo the Weeper Capuchin monkey. And we got Hobo a little over 10 years ago when the person who was using her as an organ grinder monkey in Monterey, California, had to discontinue his practices. Now, for those of you who don't know what that is, that's a monkey that gets put in a costume, taken to a public area, and while music plays, they walk around collecting money from people. It used to be a pretty common practice, but has since been frowned upon. Now, because Hobo was so close to the public every single day, her handler had all of her teeth removed. So Hobo, she needs very specialized diets, and she has health problems with her lower jaw. which just goes to show, if you have to do that to an animal, you probably shouldn't have that animal in the first place. Now, capuchin monkeys and spider monkeys, they're native to the rainforests of Central and South America, but unlike Maya, who you just met, she has a thumb on both her hands and her feet. One of the smartest animals I've worked with, unlike our next guest, who gives a whole new definition to bird brain.
This is Ebu, and what is he? Who?
They call it Ibu, that's French.
I'm kidding. That's my only owl joke. Is to go who. You guys are absolutely right. This is an owl. You are looking at a barred owl, and we got Ebu here because he came to our center when he was flying free about 20 years ago. When he accidentally flew down in front of a car and he couldn't stop, and he hit this bird and shattered his left wing. The guys hopped out of his car. He scooped him up and took him to a rescue vet that saved his life, but unfortunately, they couldn't save that left wing of his, which is why he's with us at our center. Now, Kelsey's not wrong. Owls are kind of bird brain. See, they have the smallest brain compared to skull size out of all the other bird species. But they make up for it in other ways, because these birds here are perfectly set up to fly and hunt at night. Some things that help. Number one is those eyes. His eyes are so good at seeing at night that if we turned off all the lights in here, just made it pitch black, and took one little candle, with one little candle of light in the middle of a big room like this owl can see everything almost like we see it right now. That's how good his eyes are. But there's a problem with his eyes. His eyes are so big, his eyes take so much room in his owl's skull, they're actually stuck, facing straight forward. If he wants to look to the left, he has to turn his whole head to the left. The left. I'm starting to sound like Beyonce. Now, if he wants to look to the right, he turns his whole head to the right. That's why he has that flexible neck. He can turn his head how far? Almost one full rotation all the way around. Now, it's not like the cartoons. He can't go around. If he did that, his head would pop off. But he does have 2 extra neck bones that allow him to turn his head 270 degrees, almost one full rotation all the way around. Now, the second thing that helps him out is in his wings. See, he has specialized feathers called comb feathers that break up the wind and give him silent flight. That silent flight helps him out in 2 ways, because when he's flying through the forest at night, he's not only looking for food, he's listening for food. And if he's up there going flappity, he can hear the mice and the rats that are down on the ground. The second way it helps him, those mice and rats, they don't hear him coming. He makes a sneak attack to capture his prey. Now, an owl this size will eat about 3 to 5 small rodents a night. He's an important part of the balance of nature, and even though he is such a profound hunter, the one thing he's missing is a sense of smell, which is good because our next guest is probably the stinkiest animal we work with.
This is Pepe, and he is the striped skunk. Now, they get that name because of that beautiful racing stripe down his back. But everybody always wants to know the same thing. They want to know about the spray. So I think instead of talking about it today, I'm going to show you how it works. I'm kidding, but I got a couple of you. No, you're all safe because I am saving that for the end of my career, and it is most definitely going to happen in a junior high school. Now that spray is his only form of defense, so if another animal gets too close, he does a few things first. He throws a fit. Have any of you guys ever thrown a fit before? Yeah, I'm sure you have. He'll throw a fit, he'll stomp his feet, he'll even do handstands, waving that tail in the air as if to say, back off, or I'm going to spray you. And if those warnings aren't listened to, then he sprays. And he can spray up to 15 feet, which means some of you are in his splash zone. Now, normally an animal, they get sprayed once and they learn their lesson. The one animal that never ever seems to learn is our dogs. Yeah, I love my dog, but he has been sprayed so many times I've lost count. And there are a few things you can do to help prevent this from happening. I just apparently haven't learned my lesson enough yet. Things like making sure your trash is secure and bringing your pet food as well as your pets in at night. Then these guys will waddle through your yards eating things like slugs and snails and other pests, and they'll become helper animals rather than problem animals. Now, we're gonna head on out because we're really not a fan of this next guest.
This is Precious. And Precious here She's a snake. She's one of these snakes that makes kind of a rattling noise. And when I get her out of her box, you guys might hear her talking to me a little bit. Let's see if she'll rattle. That's weird. Usually when I tap on her box, she rattles. Huh. Oh shoot, where did she go? I think that's funny. Teachers don't usually think so. This is Precious, a beautiful snake. I'd say she's striking, but that's a bad idea. You're about to meet one of my favorite animals on this planet. This is the Northern Pacific rattlesnake.
Whoa.
Now, isn't she beautiful? I said, isn't she beautiful? You don't want to hurt her feelings now. Now, Precious here. She came to our center because there was a man out weed whacking his lawn, and he accidentally cut her across her tail really, really badly. Almost cut her tail completely off. But he very bravely scooped her up in a box, and he took her to Walmart. No, Walmart. I mean, Walmart is the largest retailer in the nation. Speed it up, Florida. That's a good joke. Retailer. Oh, no. He scooped her up in a box and took her to a wildlife vet that saved her life. But unfortunately, when she strikes for her prey, she tends to miss, which is why she's with us at our center. Now, we are having a big problem with kids and rattlesnakes right now. Lots and lots of kids are getting bit by rattlesnakes. Is it because there's too many snakes? Yeah, too many kids, exactly right. No, it's not that either. I actually think it's videos showing people handling venomous reptiles. Some of them can be great and educational, but I think kids are getting the wrong idea and are thinking it's okay to try. Most of the bites that happen on people's hands, which shows me that they were trying to pick that animal up. And you need to keep in mind, there's enough venom in this snake's mouth to kill a cow. It's an animal to be respectful of, but it's one that we can and should be able to peacefully live right alongside of. I think she's absolutely beautiful. That's little Precious. Let's say goodbye to Precious here. Woo! Yeah. Now, Kelsey and I always get this question because we work with animals. We always get, you can work with all these amazing animals. What is your favorite animal? And you know what my favorite animal is? It's none of these guys. I love those animals a lot, but they're wild animals. They belong in the wild. Our next guests, their names are Millie and Basil. These are our favorite animals. I trust them, we trust each other, we never bite each other. I know they want to be with me. You have to know the wild animals would much rather be living their lives free in the wild like they're truly supposed to.
Hey, did you guys enjoy those animals? I hope you did. I hope you learned something today. Well, we like to end each and every show with just a little something you guys can do to help keep our environment clean and our animals safe.
Things like reducing our single-use plastics, that's a huge one right now.
And making sure that we're picking up garbage as well as recycling.
Or if you find a sick or injured animal in the wild, get it to a wildlife rescue center. There are literally thousands of places set up to give the animals the proper care they need and hopefully get them back out into the wild.